Record to this. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning. And let's hear Merry Christmas. And I know that this podcast won't come out till after Christmas, but as we record this, it's the Friday before Christmas. So,
Right.
yeah.
And
So,
that's, yes, I like Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays because not everybody gets to celebrate on December 25th. And
right.
they celebrate lots of things. So,
And
yes,
I and we should say Happy New Year too. So, yeah. Let's
yes.
cover it all.
So I am excited. We are in episode 3
Yeah.
of the Special Agent Moms podcast.
Yippee. Yippee.
So,
Which is why, speaking of the holidays, we're covering today's topic, which is appetizers.
yes,
Yes, indeed.
appetizers.
Yeah, this is kind of fun because we're all going to all kinds of holiday parties. I don't know about you, but I just went to one last night. I went to a couple last week. I went to one on Monday. The list goes on and on and on. And I've been bringing lots of appetizers and snacks. What's your favorite go-to appetizer to bring?
Oh, see, I'm in a different phase of my life. So if it's a family one, I've been trying to find kid-friendly appetizers.
Oh, good idea. Yeah.
So for our Christmas, I am making mini sliders that are cheeseburgers. So little
Oh,
miniature cheeseburger sliders, because my son will eat a cheeseburger in any way, shape, or form.
that's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my go-to, my favorite right now. How
Last
about
night,
you?
well, last night I was at a gathering of some women, and I knew they would enjoy a cake, so I brought rum cake, golden rum cake last night, and it was about half gone. So yeah, it must have gone over well. Pretty yummy. That's the second one of those I've made this month. So it went over pretty well. So today's topic, in case you haven't guessed, we're going to talk about different appetizers, some tips on bringing appetizers to your holiday gatherings, and hopefully we can inspire you to make it easy and maybe try some different recipes. Who knows? So
Yes.
let's start it off with maybe some cheats for you. I know you've all done this. This is one of my favorite things to do, especially during the summer, is to go to the store, Walmart, Dillon's, wherever, get a container of potato salad at Dillon's, and then put it into one of my own decorative dishes because I have.
Really? You do that?
Yes, you do too. Don't look at me like that. You do too.
Well,
Don't
I don't
pretend
buy the
like you
potato
don't.
salad.
Huh?
I, I don't buy the potato salad, but I do buy other things. And actually, I've got to the point of honesty. I don't even put it in a pretty bowl. I just take it as it is. Sometimes that's the life.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Well, that kind of fancies it up a little bit because heaven knows I have a plethora of decorative dishes that I have been gifted over the years, whether it's for Christmas or my birthday or whatever. And some of them are even like decorative Tupperware. I mean, come on, it doesn't have to be a glassware. So that's one way you can kind of fancy up your appetizers. You can also add a little extra pizzazz, whether it's just by fancy arrangements of your veggies or fruits on the tray, instead of just plopping them all in a pile. Just take a little extra time, arrange them in a fancy manner upon your tray.
So
Put
I
the dip in the
do
middle.
appreciate all the people who take time and make the Christmas trees out of the greenery and use the cherry tomatoes to look like ornaments. And
Oh, I do too.
I do appreciate that. Yeah, that extra effort that they go to.
hmm hmm I do too. Now, have I ever gone to those links to make one of those festive shapes? No. But I really do appreciate their efforts on Pinterest. Those are Pinterest worthy indeed. You can also, purchase some festive napkins at, Walmart, wherever, Dillon's, wherever, Dollar General, even cheaper. and maybe even place those underneath whatever you're bringing, if that works for, if it's a cracker or a bread basket or whatever, those work nicely in for your dry goods. That kind of fancies that up a little bit. I used to have, I might still have at home, a bread towel that I had cross stitched at one time somewhere, and that
Yes.
kind of fancies things up. That kind of makes things look a little bit nicer. Anyway, it just adds kind of a little pop of color. And again, if you shop at home, if you just look at home, you can also find some unusual containers to put your appetizer in. That just kind of fancies things up a little bit as well. So, yeah, go for it.
Well, and also you can think about just staging it with different heights on your table. Sometimes
Yes,
putting a even just a cake pan upside down and then putting your pickle tray on top of that can make your table look more festive.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anything, super duper fancy. Now, if you are the hostess yourself, you're the one providing all of the appetizers, and
Yes.
God bless you if you are. Um, there's some things you really do kind of need to think about. You got to think about providing a variety of appetizers, and by that I mean you're going to want to have a protein. You're going to want to have a savory starch. You're going to want to have veggies. You're going to want to have fruits. And what am I forgetting, Robin? You want to think about those guests that are going to be coming with allergies.
Ah, yes, yes.
Mm.
Well, and I was thinking, you know what? Even if you're the guest coming and want to bring something, um, maybe you ask the host and uh, the host can assign you a general, like bring something sweet
Mm-hmm.
or, something like that so that you're not limited in what you can bring. It's not like I have to tell you, Jody, bring the meatballs, but maybe if I told you bring a protein or something like that, then yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah.
you can
Yes.
have some help. You don't have to do it all yourself, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. And if you are the person who has that food allergy, it's okay to bring your own snack, to bring your own gluten-free or nut-free snack or appetizer, and just let the host or hostess know this is gluten-free. I'm going to set it at the far end of everything else. Would you mind keeping this separate? And your host or hostess is probably going to appreciate uh, the effort that you put in to provide your own safe snack, honestly. But if you are the host or hostess that is providing something allergy free, you don't have to make everything, allergy free, but, just providing one or two things, that's very considerate of your guests if you do that.
Well, and the thing is, just because it's allergy free doesn't mean that everybody else won't love it um, just as
Yeah.
much. So I happen to be cooking the pork for a gathering this weekend, and we're going to have pulled pork. And we have some people coming who have allergens, and they just came up to me and they said, "What are you seasoning it with?" And I said, "I'm going to keep it pretty plain. I mean, I'm gonna cook it with carrots and onions and garlic, but all of those things are not allergens for them." So they said, okay, just as long as I don't have any seasoning packets or things like that, that then they felt safe knowing that they'd be able to eat the pork. And I said, we'll have barbecue sauce, which can always be a little tricky for people
Right.
depending on how it's made, but I said we'll put it on the side, and I guarantee you, nobody else is going to notice that the sauce is on the side and they get to add how much they want themselves instead of having it on the meat ahead of time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So again, if you are the one providing everything, just remember to provide a nice variety of all of those things for your guests. That's just kind of a rule of thumb there. Um, and moving on here, it's again, this is kind of a cheat, but I kind of like this cheat. Hit up the frozen food section of your grocery store. They have some really good appetizers. in your
I
frozen food section.
I don't think we should call that a cheat. That's just effective planning.
I like that. That's smart
Yes,
thinking.
it's effective planning, effective use of your time, because
Absolutely.
honestly, we all love food. Don't get me wrong, but do you love the food or do you love the company more?
Oh, I like the way you think. Yes.
So if
Yes. The
it's
less
really
time in
about
the
the
kitchen means more time with your friends.
your company and you're less stressed and so okay, so if I'm standing in the frozen food section, what am I looking for? What's out there?
Well, I have found things like mini quiches. I have found things like those tortilla roll-ups in the frozen food section. You can even do mozzarella sticks. And in today's world, almost everybody has an air fryer. Those are really good things to cook in the air fryer. Let's
Mhm.
see here. There's also, I'm trying to think what else I found. Crab cakes. You can even find things like that. You name it, you can find it. Um, Even some desserts you can find in the frozen food section. Just give it a try. You can find some really good appetizers in the frozen food section that you would be surprised.
Well, and what I like about the things you've mentioned, it's all small portions. So with appetizers, I like to think of appetizers as small bites but big flavor. So
Yes.
keep that in mind.
Hmm. Yep, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So, um, Miss Robin,
Yes.
if I'm hosting a party, how much do I need to plan on serving? Like, how many appetizers do I need?
Well, part of that depends on, is it just like an appetite? Is it appetizers as like an open house? Because if it's just an open house when people are going to be there for maybe, 30 minutes to an hour, you could probably plan for just 2 to 3 appetizers a person. Now, if this is a meal and people might be staying for like 4 hours for an extended gathering, the recommendation is to plan 8 appetizers for the first 2 hours per person and then 4 appetizers for the last 2 hours. So that'd be a total 12 appetizers. And like you listed the whole variety. So that's counting proteins and sweets and even vegetables and all of that. So that's kind of, appetizers are small portions, but you could get up, you want to plan about 12 per person. The other thing is you might think about staggering what you offer. You know, do you need everything out at once? Or would you want to bring things out as the evening goes on if it is a extended, I'm thinking like a New Year's Eve party where you're
Oh,
planning to
sure.
be there for
Uh-huh.
several hours.
Hmm.
You could always bring out something fresh, you know, say around 10 p.m., getting ready for the ball drop. I don't know about you, but I'm
I'm
beginning to
old,
become,
Robin. I don't stay up until midnight anymore.
well, I was thinking the ball drop on the East Coast because it's Central Time. It's only
Okay. All
11.
right. I might stay up until 11, but true story. I rarely make it until midnight. Mold.
Oh, I make it to midnight more nights than not. So yeah, New Year's Eve is not a stretch for me. Uh, but that's, that was just a time I was thinking when often we do gather for several hours
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes,
and
indeed.
appetizers. Yeah, but thinking about that, if we're gonna have food out for 4 hours, do you have some safety tips for us?
I do. Yeah. I should. I'm gonna venture. I know you're gonna be surprised by this. Jody's gonna venture off topic here for a brief moment.
We're good, we're good.
One of my favorite places to dine are at tapas restaurants. Have you ever been to one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so there's one in Manhattan, Kansas that's pretty good. And then I also went to one this summer and it was in Colorado Springs. We went to one in downtown and it was totally gluten free as well. Everything on their menu
Oh,
was gluten free. And so the person that was with me was like, thought he was in heaven. And it was absolutely fabulous. And so you just ordered, little small bites and, until you got full. And so you really can get filled up on appetizers.
Oh,
It was,
absolutely.
yeah, it was absolutely one of the best meals I think I'd had in a long time. And the great thing was is that the person that was with me is a celiac, and didn't have to worry about anything that we ordered, being being bad for him. And so it was great. And if you ever get a chance to try a tapas restaurant, I would encourage you to do so. They are so much fun because you just get to try such a wide variety of different foods and different flavors. They're just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Okay, I will get back on topic now.
You
Um,
are absolutely right on topic because that's a lot of the experience we're talking about creating with appetizers at a party. So,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I should mention that, a lot of the tips and things that we give are research based. We don't just spout these things out of thin air. We do actually get our knowledge from the university and research based information. So Robin and Jody don't just make things up. We
no,
actually we actually do know what we're talking about most of the time. So actually the rule of thumb, and this is, and we're going to talk a little bit more about charcuterie boards here in a minute, because those are really popular and have really gained in popularity the past few years. And so a lot of this information pertains to leaving fresh meats and cheeses out, but it really goes for all foods that you're going to leave out for your guests to eat. And but a lot of this kind of pertains to like your fresh meats. So this comes from a lesson that a friend of ours, Nancy Honig, out in Western Kansas, did on charcuterie boards, and she's done a lot of great lessons for her county out there this past year. I think she challenged herself to do a new lesson every month this past year. And anyway, I digress again. So the rule of not leaving food out at room temperature for more than 2 hours still applies to cured and dried meats. Since it is recommended that charcuterie boards are served at room temperature, but setting it out for 20 minutes before serving, you need to count that as part of the 2 hour time. This provides a couple of options for plating your board. If you plan to have people eating from the board for a longer period of time, consider keeping the meat on a tray by itself and having smaller boards to rotate from the refrigerator. You could also have several different boards with different combinations and bring a new one out every 30 to 60 minutes, taking the old boards and returning them to the refrigerator. It is also recommended to use the meat within the first 3 days after opening. And after opening, cover the areas that are exposed to air and place it in your refrigerator. So again, those are just good rule of thumb safety tips when
so
dealing with a lot of foods.
Jody, you kind of flew through those, and I'm sitting here wrapping my mind around it. But it really does sound like, yeah, instead of I've seen even some of the meetings we've been at where they just cover a whole table in charcuterie, the whole table, essentially. And what I'm hearing is that you really don't want to do that with your meats and cheeses to plan on leaving them out the whole 4 hours, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, I believe. Hmm.
But I could do that and leave my same crackers out the whole 4 hours and just switch out my meat and cheese boards or
Correct. Yeah.
little plates or keep
Yeah, because
things
you have those time and temperature sensitive safety foods that we talk about, when we're teaching serve safe, that they're going to be more susceptible to foodborne illnesses. So, and those would be like your meats and your cheeses.
right.
Right.
Right. So yeah, but my crackers would be fine. I don't have to switch those out every time.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
you know,
That's
and I've seen some really great ones that have sweets mixed in there, or a Chex Mix or something like that, which I know we would find out if we had Nancy here visiting with us is not a true charcuterie board, but kind of
here's
more of
an
a grazing board.
Here's an example of one that she put together for her presentation. This one had grapes, Montego cheese, crackers, Havarti cheese, smoked almonds, green olives, ground mustard, prosciutto, Genoa salami, goat cheese with blueberries, hard pepper salami, smoked Gouda, soppressata, blueberries, cherry preserves, and no, balsamic. I don't even know what that is. Bellaviano. There you go. Did
I
I say all those correctly? Probably not.
have to chuckle because my mom was so far ahead of her time. I remember being a little kid and her bringing out the summer sausage and the chunk of cheese and slicing off and making a little meat and cheese tray.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, back before we talked about charcuterie and everything like that. So,
ours were not that fancy.
yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay, so once we've done appetizers, we need something to drink.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to share a little bit about the history of mocktails. Mocktails are highly trendy right now. Um, so in 2020, they were a almost $1 billion industry, and then they're expected to be a $1.7 trillion industry. So we jumped from 1 billion to almost 2 trillion by 2028. So they're growing widely, but interestingly enough, mocktails, the term was actually coined over a century ago during Prohibition when alcohol was banned. And so bartenders started making non alcoholic drinks, which is where the phrase mocktail came from. Can you think of what the most famous mocktail is?
The Shirley Temple.
The Shirley Temple.
I was gonna guess
Exactly.
that or the Roy Rogers.
Shirley Temple is the one that my research came up with.
Okay. All right.
So,
I used to get those when I was a kid.
yeah, so they're
Yeah.
fun. It is a fun way to dress up a drink that might, otherwise, not seem super fancy, and you can have them in the fun glasses and with the fruit on the side and dress up your drinks as well. So, just keep that idea involved when you're planning your food, plan your drinks as well. Um, and I think it's really important to make sure that you do have non-alcoholic options at all of your holiday events that are just as much fun for people who may choose to not consume alcohol. So,
And I do have a couple of recipes for some mocktails that we can share. And
okay.
we're going to attempt, and keep in mind, Robin and I are still very new at this whole podcasty thing, to share recipes in our comment section of our podcast. If that doesn't work, we'll share them on Facebook. Um, but I do have, again, these are courtesy of Nancy Honig, some recipe. There's one here for glitter lemon drop martini. This is a
Ooh,
mocktail. It has lemon juice, non-alcoholic vodka, non-alcoholic orange liqueur, maple syrup, and then you garnish it with a lemon peel twist. So that one actually sounds kind of tasty. There's also a chocolate peppermint mocktail. Has half cup chocolate syrup, 2 tablespoons of Kahlua substitute, 1 teaspoon of molasses, peppermint extract, ground cinnamon, ground ginger, and allspice. Very good.
I say
Um,
peppermint and chocolate always go together.
yeah, that sounds kind of fun. I was just gonna pull out one more, maybe. Oh, oh, the classic Shirley Temple recipes on here too. And a blackberry mocktail. It has some muddled blackberries, orange juice, lemon juice, Saigon cinnamon syrup. I've never heard of that. Mm. Saigon cinnamon, water, white sugar. Interesting. Okay. So anyway,
So
some recipes there.
I I think the point here is that you can dress up your drinks as well. We were talking about garnishing
Mhm.
appetizers and talking about how laying food out just to make it appealing as well. I think you could make a cherry limeade or an
Ah,
apple cider and serve it in a fun cup. Something to go along with your theme or your decorations. And that would be just as much fun as well. So, just want to encourage people to try something new. Um, but like we talked about earlier, you know, the food is fun, the gathering's fun, but it's really the people. So,
good.
whatever you're planning to do, make sure that you allow yourself enough time so that you're relaxed and recharged and ready to visit with your guest. Or if you are the guest, that you go in and maybe have you ever offered to help do the dishes at somebody's house?
Oh, yes.
And
Yes.
and if you noticed what that does to the hostess's face, it's usually, just instant, relaxation. Yes, let me just come in the kitchen and 10 minutes of helping them clean up
Mhm.
can make their day just because you cared enough to offer. So whether you're the guest or the host, I think I just want to encourage people to focus on the people first. I know this was a podcast all about the food side of things, but I'm just, yeah, want to encourage people to still think about the people first.
That's a good reminder. Thanks.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
So can I invite myself to your house for New Year's Eve?
Well, maybe. I was planning on going out to a community event, so, and you go to bed earlier than I do anyway.
You're right. You are correct. All right. Well,
Maybe not New Year's Eve, but we'll
I'm
get
not done
together.
sharing recipes.
Oh, you're not? I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm not done yet. Don't cut me off. Don't cut me off, girl. Okay. So,
Sorry, we got to get our signals going here.
all right.
What recipes do you
Am I
have
out of
left for
time?
us?
Am I
No,
out of
we're
time?
not.
Okay. All right. Oh, these are a couple of my favorite ones to bring to your house. Okay.
Oh, yes,
Five
yes. What appetizers are you going to bring my way?
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
I know one of them because it's one of my favorites too.
I know. This one is off of the Pioneer Woman's website. I bring it, I usually make it every Christmas. It's the her olive cheese bread.
Oh, yeah. I
And
made
I
it at
find,
Thanksgiving. Oh,
oh
yeah.
my gosh, I love it. And even if you don't put the spread on the bread, you can just dip a cracker in that spread, eat it cold. That's some good stuff. And it
Yes.
doesn't matter what kind of olives you put in it. It's just good. It's just flat out good. Okay. The other one that I haven't made this one in a while, but it is still pretty good. And honestly, I just pulled a recipe off the internet this morning, but it's basically the same. This one's called sticky pecan pigs in a blanket. And basically you take those little cocktail wieners and you wrap it up in a little bitty in a crescent roll, slice a crescent roll in half, wrap it up, and then you make like a brown sugar pecan glaze in the bottom of your pan, and then you put your little cocktail wieners in it, and then it makes a sweet glaze for them. Really good. I like that one too.
I have to admit, I have never had that.
They're pretty yummy. Pretty yummy. So again, we'll try and share those recipes with you. Now, there's some also very easy appetizers that it doesn't really matter what recipe you use. Go again, hit up your frozen food section, get the frozen meatballs, stick them in a crock pot, pour some barbecue sauce on them. It doesn't matter what barbecue sauce you use. Somebody's going to eat those meatballs. I guarantee you. Now,
Absolutely.
everyone's going to say, "Oh, I have the perfect barbecue recipe." I know some people add grape jelly to their barbecue sauce. They think that's the bomb. Go for it if that's what makes you happy. I just pour barbecue sauce on it. You do you. And then there's a million different recipes for those tortilla roll up things, with the cream
I love
cheese,
those because
dried beef.
the color they can add to your
Mhm,
table.
mhm,
They can be, I've seen them with green and red in them and
mhm.
they get really festive. Yeah. So yes, those tortilla
Again,
pinwheels are great.
that's an easy one to make. And again, there's a lot of different recipes. I like to go to allrecipes.com and look for some recipes there. I would say, again, if you're looking for recipes, maybe one place you might want to avoid is TikTok. Not that I haven't gotten recipes off of there, but again, use with caution. You just never know what you're going to get. Okay. We try and look for recipes off of .edu sites because those are research-based recipes. We can only recommend recipes off of there. Now, have I gotten recipes off of allrecipes.com? Sure, I have. Absolutely. Again, you have to use with caution because you don't know what you're getting all the time. Um, I have had pretty good luck with those, but you know, that's our word of warning there as well.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so there you go. The Pioneer Woman website is also, pretty trusted website. She's got some published cookbooks. So, I feel like her recipes are fairly trustworthy as well. So there you go.
Well, and I think um, our whole point of today wasn't to share recipes. I know that's how we're ending up, but our whole
Yeah.
point was to share the safety, which is really what we're about as county extension
Hmm.
agents and why we're doing this podcast is, anybody can put in a Google search and web search and come up with recipes. But we want to make sure that you're doing it safely and that maybe these tips can ease some stress during this extended holiday season. I mean, it's not just 1 or 2 days, it's often weeks of gatherings to celebrate.
Yeah. Lots of appetizers to make. Yeah,
Lots.
absolutely. Well, I think that about I'm done. I'm done now.
You're
I've divulged all of my recipes. Yep. Mhm.
Oh, Jody, I love that we have taught together long enough that we can just bounce ideas off of each other and keep going. So, where can people find our podcast information?
Okay, so they can find us on Spotify and on Apple. They can find our podcast. We are the Special Agent Moms podcast. They can find us on Facebook at Pratt CO Extension and Barber County Extension. They can find me on Instagram. I'm at Pratt KSRE. They can email us with podcast ideas. We would love that. I'm at jdrake at ksu.edu. You can find Robin at REUBANK at KSU.edu. And then hopefully we're going to start posting some of these on my YouTube channel, which is K-State Research and Extension Pratt County. So that's all the socials. Please like us on the Spotify and Apple and follow us. We would really appreciate that.
And we do read your comments. So,
We
um,
do.
a, a, a shout out to the people who have left us comments. This has been encouraging. So we said we wanted to end this episode with a teaser. And so our next
Oh, yeah.
episode, which will be coming out in 2025, can you believe it?
What? Oh,
Well,
it does. Yeah.
yeah, the
Look at this.
next episode we're going to record will be coming out in 2025, and we're going to talk about setting smart goals, not just focusing on New Year's resolutions. So that's what you can look forward to hearing from us the first of 2025.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.